Hey everybody, it is late at night and I am Norman, and tonight I am doing an unboxing and a review of the cheap Poljot that I bought on eBay. Let us begin. Okay, so here we have the packaging that it arrived in. Just a barely padded bag. Let's open this thing up. What could be inside? A little bit of bubble protection in there. And there it is. Little tiny Poljot box. It's kind of cool, actually. I could see this box used in Bauhaus watches. It's super utilitarian. I like it. You can see how it's kind of sticking out here. Looks like it's kind of glued on top there. Not sure. Let's see if this doesn't open. Oh, I see. Oh, there. That's pretty cool. Okay, so you just pop it open like that. Ah, there's the watch. Alright, let me get this box out of the way. Not a bad little pillow. Actually feels like a decent plastic. This watch band isn't too bad. There are certain Seiko watch bands where the leather almost feels like cardboard. This actually feels like leather. Very nice. Not bad for about $100. We'll start with the bracelet and the buckle, and then we'll go on to the watch head itself. So you see that it comes on a square, unmarked buckle. It actually looks decent. It feels like buckles that I've purchased from Watch Band Center and other places. I like how thin this band is. On a watch like this, that's actually really cool. It's slightly tapered. Genuine leather. It's smooth and thin. Perfect fit for this watch, actually. Now, in looking at the watch, if we flip it over on the back, just a pop-off case back. I would not trust even the 30 meters water resistance that this would be likely rated for. It does not have drilled lugs. The crown is tiny. Which makes it fun being a hand winder. It has a box acrylic crystal. The distortion on it is really cool. Difficult to capture on video or in pictures though. But when you glance down, you can really see the indices getting warped and distorted, sometimes even cut in half. The markings on the dial are nice and minimal. Poljot Deluxe, 23 joules, shockproof. I wonder how shockproof it is. The hands are basic, just stick hands. They reach the indices properly, that's nice. Speaking of the indices, look at those. They're cut into the dial and they catch the light so well. They're gold colored. Super cool looking. It's nice and thin. Yeah, look at that. So cool. Alright, let's put this thing on the wrist. See what it looks like. So here is the Poljot on the wrist. It's a nice vintage size. It's pretty small. It's not as small as the Timex Marlin though. That watch is really small. It looks great. Super classy, super dressy. Not at all bad for $100. Now, I've had this watch for a couple days now, and some of my observations and impressions of it in that time. One, it looks absolutely amazing. It is so cool to look down at your wrist and see this thing. Number two, surprisingly, I bought this to scratch a vintage itch. But when I looked down, it actually reminded me of the Nomos Orion that I own, and actually kind of made me want to dig it out of the box and wear it. And we'll do a bit of a comparison between the two in just a moment, because it's pretty striking. Another thing, these are not fun to wind. When I first received it, I was able to do 3 turns on the crown, and it started going and it worked all day. So my guess is it was wound, but the movement was stuck or something, because it ran all day. That night I was able to wind it 5 or 6 turns. The next morning I was able to do 20 turns. I usually wind my watches twice a day, and I do about 20 to 30 turns of the crown depending on the watch. I'm able to maybe do 20, 22 on this, but it's really stiff. It's difficult to tell when you're getting close to being full and when you have to start watching out so you don't damage it at all. So that's not fun. But then again, the Timex Marlin is really not fun to wind either, because that crown is kind of recessed into the side of the case. So that's neither here nor there. This particular watch runs pretty fast. It's 2-3 minutes per day that I've observed so far. I got out the demagnetizer to see if maybe that was the issue. And I've run it a couple times, and I'll be watching over the next couple days, and we'll see how it does. I'm guessing it's either magnetized or maybe it's underpowered, at which point I'll have to take it in for servicing or something. And I should do that anyway. Have somebody look at it, see how the oils look, see how the movement looks. This was claimed to be new old stock. So for all I know, it's been sitting in a warehouse or something for years and years and years and never been run. I don't know if it's gunky, who knows. So for comparison, I have the Nomos Orion Anthracite here. And you can see size-wise, they're fairly similar. The Poljot actually makes the Nomos look kind of big in comparison because it's so small. You can see that the dial on the Nomos is a little bit larger. And it is completely night and day between these two when you're winding. So here we have a $100 watch that's new old stock. And here we have a watch that was purchased brand new, about $2,000. And when you're winding the Orion, it is like butter. It's super smooth. You can clearly hear the ticking. So it's easy to tell how full the watch is. As it starts to get full, you can feel the tension starting to build in there. So it's easier to be careful and not inadvertently overwind it. And being the Nomos Alpha 1 movement, this thing keeps amazingly accurate time. I can wear it for a week or more and not have to touch it at all. This watch, I've had it for a couple days and I've already had to kind of ease back on the time a little bit. This doesn't hack, by the way. So when you pull out the crown, it's still going. You can kind of do the trick where you barely move it backward just a touch and it'll stop the second hand. Whether that's healthy for the watch or not, I mean, this was $100. So when it was a couple minutes fast or a minute fast or whatever, I kind of did that trick to it. I backed it up just a bit and then kind of held it there so the second hand stopped, just barely moving it backward, and then I let it go when it was roughly about 1 minute. That way I can monitor how accurate it is. For the specifications on the Poljot, it has 18 millimeter lugs, it is 35 millimeters in diameter, 47 millimeters lug to lug, and only 8 millimeters tall, including that box crystal. So again, it is nice and thin. The case is stainless steel, the crystal is acrylic, and actually, I was incorrect earlier, this has no water resistance at all. So there you have the Poljot Deluxe. What are my thoughts on this watch? First off, I love it. It looks beautiful. And for the price, $100, perfect. Do I trust the movement that's in it? Not really. Do I trust the state of the movement that's in it? Not really. Is it accurate? No. Is it fun to wind? Not at all. But when you look down and see this beautiful vintage piece on your wrist, it is perfect for occasions that you actually need a dress watch. This definitely isn't an everyday wear, but to throw it on and have a stunning looking vintage piece, $100 is a perfect price. Who would I recommend this to? Anybody who wants a cheap dress watch, this is great. Don't be going and buying a fashion watch, buy one of these. You'll have a vintage piece on your wrist for $100. Anybody interested in dipping their toes into vintage watches without a huge commitment, these would be a great option for you as well. Hey everyone! As I pointed out in the first video that I did on my cheap Russian watch that I bought, I knew nothing about them. And to prove it, I've been mispronouncing the name this whole time, so I apologize for all the pain that it's causing. Thanks to Boris Watches over at Instagram, it should be pronounced Poljot. Poljot. I hope that's correct. Poljot. So, something along those lines, definitely not Poljot. So I apologize for that. Yeah.